Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Mom and Two Wife of One. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I am a content creator, a mommy, a wife, an author, an editor, a blogger, a YouTuber, lots of wonderful different things all at the same time. If you are not new here, thank you guys so much for clicking on the video and coming back. And thank you so much for rocking with me for this entire season of Married at First Sight. We finally made it to decision day. Pop it, pop it. So excited because this has been a long season. I heard someone else describe this season as Groundhog's Day. And if you guys have seen the movie Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray, you know that he's repeating the same day over and over and over again, while these couples have been talking about the same issues over and over and over again. And it's like, oh my gosh, if y'all don't get over this already. So last night was decision day for Married at First Sight season 15 in San Diego, California. I'm going to do like I normally do for the very first episode, where I talk about the premise of the show, if you guys are not familiar with it. For those who just clicked on my video randomly and like, oh, what's this about? Married at First Sight is a show that comes on Lifetime, like I said, it's in season 15. And the premise of the show is that 50 single men and 50 single women are narrowed down from thousands of people to be on this show, this reality show called Married at First Sight. They have to fill out a questionnaire with 200 questions. They meet with someone who is a sexologist. They meet with a pastor. They meet with a psychologist or psychiatrist, just to see if they're ready for marriage. And out of those 50 single men and those 50 single women, the two experts will pick 5 men and 5 women, and they pair them up to be married at first sight. So they go to the person and they say, hey, Mom is the wife of one. Congratulations, we have found your match. You're getting married in 2 weeks. And at 2 weeks' time, when you have your actual wedding, that's when you will meet your spouse. You will learn their name. And right after you get married, you're going to go on a honeymoon, and then you're going to live with them for 8 weeks in an apartment, and all the couples are put up in the same apartment complex. And then after 8 weeks, you have to decide if you want to stay married, if you want to get divorced. I will say that I saw some statistic recently that said Married at First Sight has married over 50 couples, and now those 50 couples, less than 15 are still together. And that doesn't seem like a big number, and in actuality it isn't. I think that means about a quarter or less than a quarter of the couples have remained married. And I know a lot of people have complaints about the experts and say, oh, we need new experts because they don't know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. I stand true to this, and even for this season, I think it's true. On paper, all of these couples actually make sense. On paper, they are very compatible. But the thing is, you can't predict how someone is going to react in certain situations. You can't predict how someone's going to react when their own faults and flaws are brought to the forefront. And you also can't predict how someone's going to react if they're not attracted to the person that they're matched with. And if, you know, I can say all day long that I'm ready to be married and I have these great qualities and I need somebody who's going to do this and do that. I can say that all day long. But it's one thing to have an idea of what I want, but the reality of it is you have to put in the work for marriage. And a lot of people don't want to say that, like, oh, you shouldn't say marriage is work. And, you know, it's supposed to be fun and wonderful. It is wonderful. I love being married. I love my husband. I love our life together. But that doesn't mean that every day I don't have to put in work, or that every day he doesn't have to put in work. Work shouldn't have the negative connotation that it has, but it just means that you can't just exist in a marriage. There's stuff that you actually have to do. You have to learn and train yourself to put the other person first. You have to learn and train yourself to be honest and be open and be vulnerable. And if not used to being those things, it takes work to become those things or to become whatever your spouse needs. So I say all that to say that I almost never blame the experts for bringing people together. Once you bring the people together, it's their job to put in the work to make the marriage work. So with that being said, let's talk about decision day. I was going to start with Alexis and Justin because they're just a hot mess, but we're going to start with Stasha and Nate because they were a little on the tamer side. My prediction for them is that they were both going to say yes, and my prediction was right, so check mark for me. And I will say I like to look at what people wear on decision day, because people come fitted for decision day. You hear me? They know that, okay, this may be one of my last times on camera. I'm gonna make sure everything is on point. The makeup, the hair, the dress, the heels, the suit, the whatever, like everything has to be on point for these couples for decision day. So they come dressed down. For Sasha, she wore this very pretty floral sleeveless dress, but I felt like the florals was meant to make her look a little softer And Stasha is not a soft person, not in a bad way, but I felt like the flowers were supposed to like kind of give her this ethereal look of, oh, I'm soft and I'm dainty and yes, and I'm floating. And it's like, you're not that soft. You can be a little brusque and a little, assertive, but most bosses are like that. And it's not a bad thing. But I thought it was interesting that she kind of picked that. And I think Nate always looks fly. I want him to cut his hair because I'm not a fan of the couple braids he has up there. It's like, you don't need that. You need to cut your hair. But whatever. So each time a couple comes out, the two experts, Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, discuss the couple. They discuss what they've seen so far. They discuss what they like, what they don't like, their prediction for what they think people are going to say. So when they sat down, Pastor Cal said he was concerned with how Nate responds to stress. Because if you know from this couple, they've had it pretty good for a good 6-7 weeks. And then the last week, it was a lot of fighting. It was a lot of misunderstanding. It was a lot of expectations, a lot of assumptions, and it just was not going well. And so I understood Pastor Cal's concern with Nate. But one thing I did like is that when they met up together, they showed clips of the wedding, clips of their lives together, and it had both of them giving an overview of what they like, their expectations when they first met their spouse, and then some things that concerned them. So he said that he doesn't feel like he'll ever be good enough for her, and he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life having to prove himself. And she said that he lacks maturity in some ways and he can be hot-headed when he's upset, and she doesn't want to be in a loveless marriage. I think all of those are very valid concerns. And I think with all the couples, that's basically what you're doing for decision day, right? You're weighing the pros versus the cons, and you're trying to decide if not only if there are more pros than cons, but the cons that are in existence are these cons that you can live with the rest of your life, or are these things that eventually are going to break your marriage? So you're looking at the big picture, which is a little difficult because even though it's been 2 months of being married to this person, essentially on a lot of levels, they are still a stranger and you are still getting to know them. So it's a matter of figuring out, okay, it's been 8 weeks that I've been with you. Have I learned enough in 8 weeks that make me confident that we are going to have a good life together as husband and wife, a real life together as husband and wife? Because even though this is a legitimate marriage and you're getting a legitimate divorce if you choose to not to stay married anymore, it's still kind of fantasy-like because you have cameras around you all the time and it doesn't necessarily feel real. So after the cameras go away, now it's like, oh, we're actually living together and we're actually talking about sharing bills. And now we do have rent or we do have mortgage where you didn't have that before. So it's other things that come into play now. And it's an idea of, okay, is there enough in your personality and in your makeup and in your DNA that's going to fit with what I need from a spouse? So I knew they're both going to say yes. And one thing I did note, and I don't know if you guys pay attention to this or even care, but they made a big deal about how this season of Married at First Sight, they're bringing on 2 new experts. They brought on Dr. Pia and they brought on Devon Franklin. We got to see Devon Franklin 1 episode and we saw Dr. Pia 2 episodes, but I would have liked for the decision day for all 4 of the experts to be there together, because I assumed that Devon Franklin and Dr. Pia are going to be permanent mainstays of Married at First Sight, like permanently a part of their expert team. So it would have been nice to have all 4 of them there exchanging notes together, because we have not seen all 4 of them together. When Dr. Pia came, she was did her thing solo. Devon Franklin did his thing solo and kind of talked with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Kyle a little bit, but we never got a chance to see all 4 of them together really exchanging notes on the couples. And I think that would have been nice to see that, to kind of let us know as the viewers, like, hey, they've been a part of this process the whole time too. We value their input and we're excited to see, how they're going to help us in season 16 or whatever. But maybe they're not going to be in season 16. Who knows? But I thought it was weird. And I think I would have wanted to see the other two experts at Decision Day. All that aside, one thing that Sasha said to Nate, and I think it's a fair thing to say, she said that he has mommy issues. Now, I know the term mommy issues, even daddy issues, can be a trigger for some people, but what's another way to say that to somebody that isn't triggering? Because she's not lying. He is not falling back. His experience with his mother not being in his life and probably seeing his father struggle a little bit as a single parent has kind of tainted his mind to the idea of what a mother should and should not be. But Sasha was very clear with him, like, I know what your mom did. I get that, but I feel like I'm being blamed for what she did. And she was very young when she did all of that. But I'm 37. I'm also a completely different person from your mom. So I don't think it's fair to kind of punish me ahead of us having children because you think I'm going to be like your mom was. I think that's a very fair statement to make. But I know my mother was like, oh, but that was just mean. She shouldn't have said that. But it's like, but that's fair because that is what he was doing essentially. And I said that in the previous video that they're both using their past or each other's past to kind of punish each other for the present, which obviously isn't fair. But I think it is also difficult when you're in a relationship not to bring some stuff from your past there, whether it's stuff with your family or past relationship. It's kind of hard not to bring some of that previous knowledge to a current relationship, but you have to be aware of it when it happens and then actively try not to do that. But I don't know. I knew they were both going to say yes. I had no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And he did say that he feels insecure sometimes, but he thinks they're meant to be together. She likes that he's driven. And he said, you know, you're everything that I asked for, and I still want to fight for our marriage. I was like, okay. And so I knew they were both going to say yes. So I was like, okay. Again, check for me. I predicted that. Alexa and Justin, I'm going to say for last because I'm just going to say for last. Lindy and Miguel, my prediction was that they both were going to say yes. I was right. I loved Lindy's dress. I thought it was so pretty and it was green and it was ethereal. She had these gorgeous like sparkly shoes on, and I love that Miguel matched her because they had a little green tie, and I was like, look at them matching each other. Okay, that's really cute. So I love what she wore. And you know, he's the poet, so I knew he was going to write something for his answer. He couldn't just say yes, I'm choosing to stay married. He like wrote a poem. It's like, of course you wrote a poem, I guess. Great. One thing I liked that Lindy said, she said, you didn't choose me and I didn't choose you, but from here on out, we're choosing each other. I was like, I like that. And I like that she considered decision day to be like their second wedding day, because it's like, you know, obviously when we met, we were matched. We didn't choose each other, but we're choosing each other today. This is our wedding day, us choosing to stay together. I was like, that's really sweet. Look at Lindy. And, you know, they like each other, obviously. Dr. Pepper did say that Miguel can be doting, but sometimes he can be judgmental. And I like that they purposely use those words. And even Lindy says sometimes he can be controlling. And Lindy sometimes can be overly passionate. It's too much for him. But we'll see. I knew they both want to say yes. I feel like we didn't see a lot of turmoil in their relationship until the last like couple weeks. And even then, it was just a matter of miscommunication. And miscommunication can always be resolved if both people are willing to actually listen and willing to actually put the work in. So I had no doubts about them whatsoever. My prediction was that they're both going to say yes. I was right. Another ding check for me. I don't know if I'm going to do Kristen and Mitch. I'm going to do Alexis and Justin last because that's Married at First Sight first. If you guys didn't see the episode, just give me a few more minutes. So Kristen and Mitch. My prediction was that if they asked Mitch first, Mitch is going to say yes and Kristen is going to say no. Here's why I thought Mitch was going to say yes. I thought he was going to say yes, not because he necessarily wanted to say married to Kristen specifically, but because he's always wanted to be married. And he said multiple times, this is my last chance to be married. So I thought Mitch was going to say yes because of that, because he's really wanted to be married for a long time. And now that I have this, and I'm going to hold on to it as much as I can. Because I've always thought he genuinely liked Kristen, liked her personality. Now he's attracted to her and thinks she's pretty, whatever. But outside of that, I knew that he liked her. But I don't know if, I'm questioning it now, but I don't know if he liked her because of how great she is as a person, or primarily because she actually accepted him and all of his eccentricities and his, quirks. Because he said before that he can be a difficult person to like, a difficult person to love, difficult person to live with, and just, stand beside. And he's had that issue in a lot of his past relationships. But because Kristen is so patient and because she is so accepting of who he is, I feel like that's what drove him to really like her, is the fact that she accepted him. But I don't know how much of her actual personality, just her by herself, is what he actually liked. So I assumed he was going to say yes. So I was wrong on that front. He actually said no. But he said no. He's being selfless. He said no because he said, and I don't know if I'm sure I didn't quote it. Did I quote it? No. Did I? No, I didn't. Okay. But basically, he said that she needs and deserves someone who's 100% in love with her. And he feels like he does love her, but his level of commitment isn't what she needs. So for that reason, he is saying no, because he can't give her exactly what she needs. I was like, that is probably the most mature decision and response I've seen on this whole show. For all the seasons I've been watching, I've never seen someone be that selfless in their answer. And I thought it was great. And Kristen basically said, I yeah, she was like, I feel the same way and I'm choosing myself today. She's like, we love each other, but I just don't think that I deserve more. And I think that that's perfectly fine. I think that that makes all the sense in the world. And I love how he responds. I also love, even before they came to the response, I love that when Dr. Pepper, before they came up, she did say, for Mitch, it's hard. She's saying in general, it's hard to go from a single mindset and speaking your mind and saying whatever you want to a married mindset where now you have to consider what your spouse needs. And Mitch definitely struggled with that. And I wrote in my notes in terms of what Kristen had on, I love the color on her. She wore this beautiful, bright, like reddish orange dress that had like little gold straps. It was very cute, very form fitting, and all that good stuff. And I love that when Dr. Pepper saw Kristen, because Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal were facing the women as they came in when the men were already sitting down. And so Dr. Pepper was like, oh, she looks really pretty. And Mitch was like, I bet she's wearing a bright color. And she's like, what color do you think it is? He's like, it's probably red or orange. I was like, look at Mitch knowing his wife. Okay. So I thought that was a really cute little moment. But Kristen said before that she thought that Mitch is smart and he's funny and he's respectful, but he's also really tense. And she questioned, are we two good people who just want to be married? Or are we supposed to be married to each other? And I think that's a very valid question. That's probably the question most of them ask themselves. And he, told Kristen he admires her and said being with her has made him learn more about himself. But again, I feel like all of the good attributes he likes in her are because of how they have shaped him. But I don't think that any of Mitch's, it's different. I feel like Mitch admires Kristen for all of the stuff he's done for him in terms of learning about himself and in terms of accepting himself. So all the good things about her are tied to him. All the good things she said about him are about him specifically and individually and is separate from her. And I said that before, I feel like he got a lot more out of the relationship than she did. She got a husband, but I'm glad that she came to the realization that that wasn't enough. It's not enough just to have that title of husband and to have this ring on my finger. It's about having someone who's actually supporting me, who's elevating me, who's helping me to grow in different ways. And I feel like she definitely did that for Mitch, but he was not doing that for her. And he may not have been capable of doing that for her or anyone really. And she did say something at the end. She said, he doesn't deserve me, and I hope he doesn't waste another good woman's time. Well, god dang, okay. Because there was this thing. Okay, so actual decision day was peaceful and it was great. Then the day after decision day, all the couples get together and have a little barbecue. And they brought back Morgan and Ben. I don't know why they brought them back. They didn't need to be there. But basically brought everybody back together to hear what people said, to hear what people's answers were. Oh, did you stay together? Did you get divorced? What did you guys say? So in having that conversation, Mitch and Kristen basically said, we decided to get a divorce, but, we're still going to be friends. And who knows, somewhere down the line, maybe we can get back together again when Mitch decides he's really ready to 100% be a husband. So I may leave the door ajar a little bit. You never know. Anything could happen in the future, kind of leaving it open-ended, right? Should have ended there. Mitch got an attitude and said something that turned her off to make her say, well, he doesn't deserve me and that's the real Mitch, whatever. But let's be completely clear. Yes, Mitch can be an a-hole sometimes. I think, I can't even say unintentionally. Sometimes intentionally he can be an a-hole. But, strong but, Mitch was driven to saying a-hole-ish things by the other women kind of pushing and prodding him a little bit too much. And I feel like, I don't say especially this season, especially with Alexis. And I know we've said a lot of stuff about Alexis this season. Her and Lindy specifically were acting like they were privy to their business more than they actually were. And oh, so Mitch, what do you think? Oh, so Mitch, you're going to do it? Oh, so what do you think? No, first, and I understood Mitch Mitch's point of view, he told Kristen later, like, I felt like I was being attacked. And in this moment, I'm not thinking about getting back together. Like, I'm still processing the idea that we're going to get a divorce. So I think one thing at a time, like, I can't think far into the future, but like, oh yeah, at some point we're going to get back together, because I don't know what's going to happen. So the fact that they were pushing me to like make a decision right then and there, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's not happening. We ain't never getting back together. So obviously it was not necessarily the best response, but I understood when somebody drives you to that. Because again, they felt like they had the right to kind of push and prod him into deciding right then or there if he was going to, like, you know, if she would keep the door open, if he's going to come in the door and try to like make it work. That's not the time. It's been 24 hours. And I agree with one thing Alexa said. She's like, I'm still processing. I think with everybody, you are still processing, because it's one thing to go through this 8 weeks and then to sit in front of Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper to say, yes, I choose to stay married, or yes, or no, I don't want to stay married anymore. Whatever your answer is, you mulled over that answer for who knows how long, but it's still a matter of processing it the next day. Like, oh, wow, I chose to stay married. Now we're going to start our lives together, and we're going to move in together, and this is going to be completely new. Or, you know, you said, no, wow, I'm actually going to get divorced. I have to get a lawyer. I have to go through that whole process. Like, that's going to be a lot. So it is a matter of processing the information, processing the decision, and really coming to grips with what this means for your life. So I didn't think it was fair that they were really like pushing at him and getting on him about, you know, oh, well, she's going to do this. What are you going to do? So I understood him blowing up. I definitely understood that completely. So I wasn't mad at him. Now let's get to Alexis and Justin. Now, I will say this. We have said so much about Alexis. We, meaning me and you guys in the comments, have said a lot about Alexis this season. She is a gossip. She is mean to Justin occasionally. She is inappropriate a lot of the times. But hopefully last night, if you guys watched the episode, you saw that Alexis at times looked positively miserable. And I felt for her last night. Like, I really, truly felt for her last night. So let's start from the beginning. My prediction was that if they asked Justin first, he was going to say yes, and that Alexis was going to say no. That was my prediction. And even Dr. Pepper said, I fully believe that Justin is going to say yes, but Alexis, I don't know for certain. So even Dr. Pepper, like, believed what I was going to say too. Or believed, you know, basically believed the same thing. I did say that I love Justin's blue suit. And I told y'all the women can't, when I tell you, Alexis turned that corner wearing a skin tone brown bodycon dress. And when I mean body, this woman was like, boom, boom, like hips, booty, everything with the curves were curving. Everything was doing what it's supposed to do. I was like, I'm not mad at this. And even when she's walking in slow motion, even Pastor Cal made a little noise in the back of the store. He was like, huh. It's like, okay. Pastor Cal couldn't be like, oh my gosh, she looks amazing. But Pastor Cal even made a little noise in the back of his throat, like, oh, this is what Alexa's doing? Okay, I see you, boo. All right. But, you know, the definition of that, him just saying, he was saying all of that, what I just said. He just couldn't say that because he's married, but, you know, that was what was coming across. But she looked amazing. Completely amazing. So Justin said that Alexis is sweet and she makes him comfortable to express himself. But sometimes... I'm sorry. She said that Justin is sweet and makes her comfortable to express herself, but sometimes he can be too much with his sensitivity and his inconsistency. He said that she makes him feel secure, but said that he doesn't believe Alexis is ready to give up the single life. And he said a comment like, you know, she let me give my dog away. She did not. You made that choice yourself. She didn't ask you to get rid of Maya. You suggested getting rid of Maya. That was your choice and your choice alone. And she mentioned it. She's like, you kept like throwing it in my face, which he was. And that wasn't fair of him to do that. And I know some people disagree with me, and that's fine. That's why we had this wonderful conversation and dialogue in the comments below. So make sure you comment, you know, before you finish watching this video. But that was your choice to make. I don't think it was the right choice. Like, again, yes, you want to fight for your marriage. You want to prove to her that, oh, this marriage means everything to me. She never asked you to prove that. All she asked you to be was consistent. All she asked you to be was honest with her. That's all she asked of you. She never said, I need you to do something, a grand gesture to prove to me that you want this marriage. She's never asked that of you. You chose to do that because in your mind, me making this grand gesture means automatically she's going to say yes. And I told y'all before, Those two things are not connected. They have nothing to do with each other. That was your own personal decision that you made to get rid of your dog. And I said in the last video, the video before last, until you know for certain what her answer is going to be, Maya could have stayed in the doggy jail or even gone with your friend. You made it seem like Maya, you put Maya down. Maya's with your best friend. You could always go back and get Maya. She's with somebody that you know, somebody that you trust. You know you can get Maya back. So you didn't like give her away for good. You can always go and get her. Like that's not, I won't say it's not a big deal, but that was your decision to make. And he's like blaming her for him making that decision. That had nothing to do with her. That was all you. So I had an issue with that. Let's see. When they started talking to each other, they started expressing their appreciation for each other. And, you know, Alexis can't stop herself. Justin, the experts brought up intimacy. Like, we know intimacy has been kind of an issue. And he's like, well, no, the sex has gotten really better. He said the sex has gotten better. And she expressed that she was proud of him for initiating sex. She said, but, you know, we got some work to do. She could have just left it alone, but whatever. She's like, no, we still got some work to do. We got, you know, it's not great, but we have some work to do. I'm like, okay. He said that she compliments him, and that's why he said yes to being married. And I was surprised that she did not say no. I predicted that she would say no. She pulled out a letter, which I wasn't expecting either. And I love what she did say in the letter. She said, I can't say yes to forever, but I can say yes to time, growth, and to you. I appreciate that. She was being very clear, being very logical. She was not being blinded by, oh, love and unicorns and rainbows and pixie dust. She didn't say, like, yes, I'm so in love with you. We're going to be together for the rest of our lives. Yes, it's going to be amazing. She said, no, I'm saying yes to today. And I'm saying yes to time to see if we can get to forever. But I think we deserve more time to figure this out. I think that was a very fair, very, very fair thing to say. But one thing that bothered me is that right after they have their decision day, they have their champagne. Normally, what normally happens on the show, the couples say yes, or if they say yes, they have a champagne toast with the experts, and then they walk off holding hands. And then occasionally you may see an interview with them, like, yeah, I'm so happy we said yes, and now I can't wait to start our lives together. And then you don't see them again until they're with all the other couples, and they tell the couples, yeah, we decided to stay together. Then they pack up their apartment and they start their new lives. That's what's supposed to happen. What doesn't normally happen is following the couple, when after they said yes, they had the champagne toast, right, with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cow. Justin and Alexis walk off. They do like another couple and then do the last couple, and then they show Justin and Alexis again after they walked off. They show them walking to a table and just talking. We never see that ever. In all the history of the show, we never see them do that. So I knew right away that something was weird and off, because that never happens. It always just kind of cuts to, oh, all 10 of us are together celebrating that we're getting married or divorced. It's never, let's see what the couples are talking about now that they've said yes. That never happens. So I was like, this doesn't bode well. The impression that I got from their exchange at that table, it felt like a repeat of the past 6 weeks of their marriage, where we are fighting, but we don't exactly know what we're fighting about. The impression that I got, and y'all can correct me in the comments if you think I'm wrong, Alexis was basically like, we need a restart, but I don't want us to forget the good or the bad that is happening, because if we forget the bad that's happened, then we're bound to repeat it during our restart. I thought that was fair too. Alexis was making sense. Like I said, say what we want about Alexis, and we've said a lot. She was making a lot of sense, right? She was like, you know, I just want us to restart. I need time. Like, I really need time to process this day and process my answer. I need time for that. Now, time can look different for different people. It could mean let's not move in together right away. It could mean give me some time, like give me at least 24 hours before we talk again. It could mean a lot of different things. She didn't specify what that time was. She just said, I need time to really process all of this. Justin was not giving her time. He was pestering her right there at the table. Because the impression that because he kept saying, you know, I was just afraid you was going to quit. Like, that was my fear, that you was going to quit. You're going to like give up, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But I'm like, she didn't know. She said yes. So why are you bringing up whatever your fear was? She did say yes. So let's move on from this point. She said a restart. So let's start at this point and move on and figure out what comes next. Are we going to move in together right away? Do you want to like stay married but like date for a little bit to like how do you want to do this? That should have been the conversation. I felt like he expected her to be a little more enthusiastic about her answer and maybe had that moment of like flowers and butterflies of like, yes, I'm going to stay with you forever and it's going to be amazing and blah, blah, blah. But because she said, I'm saying yes to today and I want some time to figure this out, I think in his mind, she said that as like a stalling tactic because she's planning to leave. But it's like, take her at her word. She's saying, I want to work on this. So if she's saying, I'm here and I want to work on this, then that means it's supposed to be like, okay, cool, let's figure out how to work on this. Not continually to pester her and badger her like, okay, so basically you're about to leave. So do you regret saying yes? It's been 12 minutes. You're asking her, should you regret saying yes after 12 minutes? Like, accept the fact that the chick said yes. But it felt like, one thing he kept saying, like, I've realized, Alexis helped me realize that I really overthink and I'm in my head all the time. So you're doing the exact same thing that she said you doing. And the thing that you had this revelation of that, oh, I've been doing this, you're doing it again. Because in your head, you're creating this narrative of she was not enthusiastic when she said yes. She says she's saying yes to today. Does that mean she's going to say no tomorrow? Does it mean she regretted? Is she going to leave me tomorrow? Is she going to do this? She going to do that? You came up with this whole scenario in your head, which you said that you want to stop doing, but you're still doing it. Because now you're punishing her for the scenario you've created in your head. And now they had an argument 20 minutes after saying yes, and Alexa's looking miserable like, we're right back where we started. Why are we right back where we started? I thought we were starting at square one. How do we go? Like, this is what we've been doing for the past 2 weeks. I don't understand. And she looks so exhausted. And again, we've said a lot of stuff about her. Justin has not been innocent throughout this whole process, but because her personality is a little more abrasive and a little more assertive, and she's a little mean with the things she says, we tend to kind of dump everything on her. But this particular episode, I was like, Justin is being a butt for no reason whatsoever, except what she said, move on from here and figure out how y'all gonna make this work, as opposed to like badgering her and like constantly like needling her, like poking her, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Leave her alone. Again, and like I said, you have to process this stuff. She said yes, so now she's processing the idea of, wow, I said yes to staying married. Let me figure out what that means for me. Let me figure out what that means for us. Where do we go from here? Have we even talked about where we're going to live, if we're going to live together or not? Is he coming to my place? Am I going to his place? What does this mean for us? That's a lot of thinking, a lot of preparation, and again, a lot of processing internally. And he didn't give her the time to do that, which was not fair. It was so unfair of him to do that. So they meet together with all the couples, like I said, at the couples cookout. And she's looking positively miserable. Like, she is looking like near tears. And she's not even a crier like that, but she's looking like she's about to burst into tears at any moment. She looks like she's a child that's been chastised. She's looking miserable. Like, positively, why am I here? I feel sad in this moment. I'm feeling neglected. I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling alone. And I'm standing right next to the man supposed to be my husband, but I'm feeling like alone. So they do like the little interview, and the producer is asking them, well, where do you go from here? And he's like, well, I don't know where she's going from here, but like, I'm thinking from here we go to happiness, but like, I can't tell. Like, maybe we're not going to be happy. And she's like, you know what? We're not going anywhere from here. I'm done. And that was the first time. And she kept saying that she comes from a logical place, which she does. And he comes from an emotional place. That was the first time I felt like her emotion kind of took over. Because again, in that moment, if you guys had seen her body language and seen how she looked completely shut off and shut down, she just looked like, I can't say or do anything in this moment without this man accusing me of something or trying to get a rise out of me. Like, I can't just exist and take this moment in. So no, I am done. This is a lot. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I've been tired for the past 2 months. I cannot do this. And of course, he was like, oh, okay, she want to work it out. Okay, cool. All right. Guess it's goodbye. All right. So eventually she said, no, that's never happened in Married at First Sight history, where you get a yes on decision day and then a day later it's changed to a no. That has never happened in the history of this show. And so technically I was right because she did say no. So kind of a check for me. But obviously the way it happened was really strange and weird. And of course, Justin was like, really like, oh, okay, well, fine. I guess it's over. All right. Well, this is our goodbye. Okay, so I'm leaving. It pissed me off because, I told you why it pissed me off, because he just kept pushing her. but he didn't accept his role in that. He was like, no, she knew she always wanted to say no, and instead she wanted to do it this way and embarrass me. That's embarrassing. Like, that ain't right. Like, she knew she didn't want to say marry me in the first place. Dude. And the thing is, granted, he said something. He said she was all talk and she wanted to be married, but not to him. Granted, maybe there could have been some truth that she didn't want to be married to you, but she was trying to make it work. You weren't giving her the space that she asked you for. You were not allowing her the chance to think, to process, to really absorb what was happening. You didn't give her that opportunity. So that was your fault. The way that it happened was all Justin's fault, in my opinion. And afterwards, she apologized to him. She's like, you're right. I should not have hurt you or blindsided you like that. I felt so terrible about that afterwards. Like, I woke up feeling so embarrassed that I put you in that situation. So I'm so sorry for that. But I guess I just have to do some work on myself. And honestly, I don't know if I would have apologized. Because again, he didn't accept his role in that at all. And the fact that I personally believe that he brought her to that place. And he didn't accept his role. So I had a big, big problem with that. But that's it, you guys. That's the end of season 15 of Married at First Sight, you guys. Can you believe that we're here? This was technically episode 17. But they've had at least 19 episodes of this show. So we're talking about 5 months of this show. 5 months. And next week is the first part of the reunion. The week after that is the second part of the reunion. I don't ever talk about the reunion episodes because I don't watch the reunion episodes. Here's why. After spending about 5 months with these couples, I'm done with them. I don't want to know more about their lives. I know what you did on decision day. After decision day, I don't really care if you stayed together or if you're divorced. I'm not as concerned anymore. And the host is so messy. I'm not here for the mess. I know some people like watching shows like this for the drama. I'm not really here for the drama. I like to see people actually working on themselves and becoming better people and meeting the person they're going to fall in love with and stay married and have babies. I like seeing the happy stuff. The drama, I know it's a part of it, but I'm not here for it. So to have a host that purposely wants to incite the drama is just messy to me, and I'm just like, I just can't do it. So I typically don't watch. But feel free to let me guys know what happens, during the reunion show. If there's something I need to know, or people aren't together anymore, feel free to comment below and let me know after next week, because I'm not going to watch. But yeah, let me know. Other than that, you guys have been with me for 17 weeks talking about this show. So thank you guys so much for clicking every video, for sharing, for commenting, for liking the video, for subscribing to my channel, for clicking the notification bell. I thank you guys so much for rocking with me. The next season of Married at First Sight doesn't start till January, but hopefully I'll be putting up some videos in between that, not about the show, but just about other things, like stuff with, my mommy stuff, because I kind of have my mommy brand. So maybe stuff with me, stuff with my babies, perhaps. Just advice I want to give on whatever I'm learning at that stage in my life, whatever it is. But hopefully you guys will still watch and you'll still subscribe and you'll still just kind of join me in just talking about randomness, because this is just what I do on my channel. It's all random and it's all, wee silly stuff. But thank you guys again for rocking with me. Remember, make sure you comment below. Let me know if anything surprised you. Let me know how you feel about the couples. Who do you think is still together to this day? We got the decision day stuff, so we know that 2 said no and we know 2 said yes. Do you think the 2 that said yes are still together to this day? Before the reunion episode next week, who do you think stayed together for the long haul, and who do you think is like, no, this ain't gonna work for me? Do you think any of the couples who said no got back together? Comment below and let me know, guys. Thank you guys so much again. Hope you have an amazing, fantastic, fantabulous week, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.